Well, it's October 24th, and Dylan and I are taking our first morning sit. In fact, my first morning sit in Minnesota or Wisconsin, and I can't wait. This is our pre-rut sit. This happens every year. You get to take that first one, and there's some conditions that are taking place, and I'll talk about those in a little bit. There's three main conditions that take place for us to take advantage of a pre-rut sit, because and especially a morning sit. I don't do this very often. I've actually sat, because I've been hunting in Kentucky. I sat 11 times down there, ended up getting my target buck, real nice buck, 2 nights ago. We stayed an extra night. And then I've hunted 7 times in Minnesota. And every one of those sits has been an afternoon sit. And it really takes a lot for me to flip that switch and go. So right now we're going into just talk about the strategy. We have not hunted this property, which is normal. For this time of year, meaning we stay off it, we wait for the bucks to come in. On this property, the bucks just started coming in with the annual whitetail shift about 2 to 3 weeks ago. We started getting the pictures for the first time of some of these target bucks. And I'm going up in the back side of a bedding area. It'll be the first time using this spot all year. And we're walking in on some unpressured, unsuspecting bucks. So hopefully we can get in clean. And Dylan, you've never sat in this stand, right?
Yep, so hopefully I can get a stand in here.
Yeah, that's the key. Well, if not, we can go to a different tree. I mean, that's not what we want to do in the morning, but we'll do it if we have to. But anyways, we're going to slip in, and we're going to bring you this hunt. I'll talk about the strategies out in the stand, and hopefully we can bring one of those strategies, all of them, and culminate in shooting a buck this morning. So we'll see what happens. This is about a half-hour uphill, so always nice when we get here. It's a 50-minute drive to this spot, and then about a half-hour walk up. Every step is uphill, so we'll see how what condition and what shape we're in right now, and let's go. Well, we've heard a few deer this morning, and that's not necessarily a good thing, but we're up here, and our wind is supposed to be going that way, down the point. Being a little swirly right now, so I'll talk about that in a second. But the strategy for coming up here and for this morning rut hunt strategy, it's a pre-rut. We know there was some chasing over there, but this is the time when the light switch flips and we get some good movement. So what we're doing this morning, the first strategy is coming into an unpressured stand location on the backside of bedding. This is our bedding area over here. It's a big hollow draw right here. I would say it's 8 acres, 10 acres, something like that. It's got some good rock outcroppings in it, and that's a really good bedding area. So we're on the edge of that. So deer either coming to it, coming from it, and we're just on that edge. We really want to manipulate our wind so that we have a great wind advantage. And it does help that we're hunting high up here, and that gets us away. I've shot a lot of deer in this corner right here, a lot of nice bucks. And so we know this area works. We have several stands to take advantage of this. We actually have 2 stands for this water hole behind me. We have this stand on this side for this set of winds, and then we have one on the other side for another set of winds. And this point is narrow enough we can blow it off the top of the ridge point on either side. And in the evening we can use that other wind. Unfortunately, this spot, the afternoon, evening, the winds settle, so it's a great morning stand on this side. But we can't have those winds settle because it's going to hit deer somewhere. On the other side, it blows back to our access through a really steep non-deer area. So it's a great evening stand for southeast winds, east winds. So we're coming into an unpressured bedding area stand, meaning we haven't even hunted here. The season's been open since the second Saturday of September, and we haven't been in here at all. Second point, once you get past the 20th of October, then we wait for that first cold front. And what we're seeing on our trail cameras in 2 states, and what we've seen throughout the decades, is when you get that first cold front, those bucks are on their feet. They start to move around a lot more. I don't expect those bucks to be moving until 11 or 12 o'clock today, so we're probably only going to sit till 10. It's about 10 after 8 right now. You see a really good sweet spot of movement between 8 and 9, so I'm going to have to shut up here pretty quick. But the bottom line is, that cold front makes deer a lot more active, and when they're active, they'll hit a water hole like this, but they'll move around these bedding areas a lot more around the outside, and I'm just waiting for them to come on this outside edge. So unpressured stand, we have that cold front snap. It's after the 20th, and we're coming in here, low impact. And this is a stand. A lot of these stands we set in the early part of the year. And what I found throughout the years, these morning stands account for about 70% of my mature bucks. What you have to keep in mind is that this cold front blows through. It's the 24th of October. Now, if you're in Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, maybe even Southern Illinois, Missouri, over into Kansas, your pre-rut in southeast Ohio, where I've hunted a lot, your pre-rut's going to happen in about 5 to 7 days. So a little bit different, more like the end of October around Halloween. That's why everyone talks about online, Halloween's a great time. Well, if you're in those states especially, and then for us, we're getting into the peak rut, or starting the peak rut at that time. So it's good everywhere around Halloween. What happens is we have this cold front right now, and when it starts to get warm over the next couple days, the effect of this cold front goes away. So we're looking at hunting the roller coaster of these cold fronts now through the end of the rut in about 3 weeks. It's hard to believe the end of the rut will be in about 3 weeks, but it will. At least that first primary rut. No, of course we'll hunt the second rut. So we're in here. This is the first time Dylan and I, when's the last time, Dylan, we hunted a morning stand in Coon Valley together?
Years.
Like 3 years at least?
3 years.
Yeah. So we're hoping for some good luck this morning. We're going to hunt over in Minnesota tonight with some southeast winds for LL beams. And I'm going to quiet down here and we'll bring you the hunt. We'll see what happens. I'll talk about those winds here now. So the forecast is south 7 miles an hour, changing to 8 miles an hour, 9. That would be blowing this way. That's what we need because it goes down this ridge point, and we have a lot fewer deer historically come from that location. Water holes right over on this side. A lot of times we have deer coming from right here. The problem is this morning is that the winds are so light. 7 miles an hour, 8 miles an hour is not light. That's a moderate wind. It should be constant. And when it's constant, the wind will keep blowing this way. But just like in the evening, when you don't have wind and it's calm, and this is why I talk about I like hunting with a little bit of wind, then thermals take over. And we're 400 feet in elevation above where we parked the truck this morning. It takes us about a half hour to walk in and get all the way up here. Almost every step is uphill. So when you don't have wind, then our thermals are going the opposite direction of the forecasted wind for the morning. Eventually, I think those winds are going to pick up. We won't have to worry about these morning thermals, but as long as the temperature's changing. When we walked into the woods this morning, it was at freezing. We had frost on the ground by the truck. It's supposed to be a forecasted high of about 65 today. So all morning and into the early afternoon, those thermals are going to keep rising. We need that wind to be the forecasted speed. Doesn't always work out that way. And we did have a couple deer blow back in here. Now there was a buck chasing. And so I know those does were chasing and they were being chased and they're blowing at that buck. But we've had one that we suspected over this way that was blowing, and it just made more sense. Our wind was going that way at that time. We never saw the deer. But we're kind of worried that one got our thermals rising. So keep that in mind with thermals. In this case, we need that constant wind. Right now it's blowing the opposite direction, which the later it gets into the morning is a good thing because not very many deer come around that field edge later in the morning. We're expecting them behind us then. At that time, the thermals will be blowing off the steep edge of this point. So we'll see what happens. But sit number 8 for me out of Minnesota and Wisconsin. Sit number 1 in Wisconsin. And Dylan and I, again, first sit in the morning for a long time. So I'm going to sit down, get quiet, and get ready. Well, it's about 9:45 right now, and at 9 o'clock we finally start getting the wind we're supposed to. It's going that way. Had a doe go downwind of us too, and she didn't even spook. And the point is going off here, so everything's just lifting over. Not good this morning when the thermals were taking over and just pushing up here, but once we got that constant wind, then it was enough to fade off those thermals. So I don't normally see that up here. Usually that wind, it must have just been dead and the forecast is wrong a little bit, but most of the time when you're up around 7-8 miles an hour, it doesn't matter if it's afternoon or morning, those wind speeds are going to beat out the thermals. But when there's no wind speed, then they don't win. So it's been kind of a slow morning. We had movement when we first came in that we probably messed up with those winds, but we're not seeing much on camera here. But then over in Minnesota, we have our 6-year-old LL Beams running around. He's 6.5. He's been running around during daylight. We had him in daylight in one stand and then another spot. So he's, in fact, twice in the same spot. And so sometimes you can't explain it. Like Dylan said, 6.5, 6.5-year-olds shouldn't be running around right now, it seems like, but they are. We're going to sit here for a little bit longer. What time do you think, Dylan? 10?
I feel like any minute we're just gonna have one cruise over this hilltop.
And that's what happens at this water hole. They're all of a sudden here and you wish you were here. I know last year there was a big buck in here at like 10:18. And it's one of those where I was thinking, man, I wonder if I would have still been sitting there. So we should at least sit till 10:19.
All right.
Okay, so we'll give you the update. Well, not much moving this morning here, but over in Minnesota, the 6-year-old was moving, 6.5-year-old LL Beams. So we'll get back there, and that's kind of the start of the pre-rut. Moving over there, not here. It's a little bit more random, but to have him moving around during daylight, well into shooting hours is outstanding. So I think we'll have a good night tonight, and this kind of establishes that roller coaster where we're going to start hitting our morning stands every cool morning. We have a little warm up here, and then it cools down next week, and we'll just ride that roller coaster. So hidden locations next to a bedding area, following those cold mornings, and we'll be in the next one. So this kind of sets it going for the rut, and hope that makes sense. But we're going to get out of here and shoot some videos and get ready for tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. You're our best followers. You followed all the way to the end of the video. Really invite you to check out our website. We have our Earthway spreaders for sale. Great Christmas presents. We're booking clients right now, all 5 of us. So by the end of December, it seems early, but by the end of December, our schedule will be booked for 2025. It's hard to believe. I'm already booked for December and most of January, February. We have our web classes, the Rut web class, how to design your whitetail property, and really important, hunting hills and thermals, understanding the wind. Those are great products on our site, all the books. Thank you so much for watching all the videos, buying the seed that you did this year. Really appreciate you.